best pilot money can buy.
Pilot? That word used to mean something.
Ha. Yeah. I've heard the stories.
The Titanfall games, the games that made us all want to pilot giant robots and then promptly get squished by them. What's going on, everyone? It's Moden31. Today, we're deep diving into the history, development, and impact of Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, and Apex Legends. Now, our story begins with the birth of Respawn Entertainment, a studio forged in the fires of controversy and redemption. Once upon a time, in the year 2010, a pair of visionary developers, Vince Zampella and Jason West, found themselves at odds with their former employer Infinity Ward over at Activision. They were essentially the masterminds behind the juggernaut that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but in a twist worthy of a Hollywood script, they were fired under controversial circumstances. Lawsuits were filed, drama ensued, and it seemed like the end. But like true heroes, they didn't back down. Instead, they respawned. See what I did there? Fast forward to 2011, Respawn announced their first project, codenamed R1, and it was called Titanfall.
Got it. Stand by for Titanfall.
It was like Call of Duty, but with giant mechs, wall running, and a whole lot more verticality. The anticipation was real, and the hype train had absolutely no brakes. When Titanfall launched in 2014, it was an Xbox exclusive. A bold move, some might say. The game was praised for its innovative gameplay and fluid movement mechanics. Critics loved it, players adored it, and everyone forgot it didn't have a single-player campaign. Well, almost everyone. Titanfall 1 introduced players to the fast-paced and acrobatic gameplay that would become the series' hallmark. Pilots could run along walls, double jump, and use a variety of high-tech weapons and gadgets. The addition of Titans, powerful, massive mechs, added a strategic layer to the combat. Players could switch between the nimble pilots and lumbering Titans, creating a dynamic and engaging battlefield experience. The setting was the frontier, a distant cluster of star systems at the edge of explored space. The Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, also known as the IMC, and the Frontier Militia were at odds, with the IMC seeking to exploit the region's resources and the militia fighting for freedom and autonomy. Now, this conflict set the stage for intense multiplayer battles, each match feeling like a small part of a larger war. The game's narrative, which was delivered through the multiplayer matches, added a layer of depth and immersion that was rare for its time. The Titan themselves were a marvel of design. From the agile Strider to the heavily armored Ogre, each Titan class offered a unique playstyle. Players could equip their Titans with various weapons and abilities, creating a customized war machine tailored to the preferred combat approach. The ability to call down Titans from orbit added a dramatic and strategic element to matches, as players had to decide the optimal moment to deploy their Titan for maximum impact. Despite its multiplayer-only focus, Titanfall's narrative elements were woven into the gameplay in innovative ways. Multiplayer matches were framed as sort of a part of an ongoing war between the IMC and the militia, with voiceovers and mission objectives that advanced the story. This approach allowed players to feel like they were actually a part of a larger conflict, even in the midst of fast-paced competitive matches. Now, Titanfall 1 was more than just a new game. It was a revolution in the FPS genre. The fluid movement mechanics and the integration of Titans offered a fresh take on multiplayer shooters. This innovation did not go unnoticed by the rest of the industry, by the way. Call of Duty, the very franchise Zampella and West helped create, soon saw movement-focused iterations. Games like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 clearly drew inspiration from Titanfall's parkour-styled movement, incorporating double jumps and wall running into their own gameplay mechanics. The game's influence extended beyond its immediate impact on gameplay mechanics. Titanfall's innovative AI integration with NPC minions filling out the battlefield created a much more dynamic and immersive environment. This feature also added layers of strategy, as players had to manage not only enemy pilots, but also AI-controlled forces that could influence the outcome of matches. This approach inspired future FPS games to experiment with their own AI integration into multiplayer games. Moreover, Titanfall's seamless blend of infantry and mech combat introduced an entirely new level of strategic depth. Players had to balance the advantages and vulnerabilities of being on foot versus piloting a Titan. This sort of duality encouraged diverse playstyles and added a unique tactical dimension to each match. The game's fast-paced, high-mobility combat set a new standard for fluid and dynamic shooter gameplay, influencing numerous titles that followed. Titanfall 1 also faced its fair share of challenges. The lack of a single-player campaign was a sticking point for many, and the game's reliance on dedicated servers left it vulnerable to hacking. Jeanue, the infamous Titanfall hacker, exploited these vulnerabilities, launching DDoS attacks, disrupting matches. The small player base on PC struggled to maintain a stable gaming environment, which led to frustration and a decline in the active player base. The hacking issues in Titanfall 1 were not really just a minor inconvenience either. They were a significant disruption to the game's community. The DDoS attacks would often render the game unplayable, with servers crashing repeatedly and the match being interrupted. This persistent problem highlighted the challenges of maintaining a secure and stable online infrastructure, particularly for a game with a relatively small but dedicated player base. Despite Respawn's efforts to combat the hacking and improve server stability, the damage to the community was significant. Many players, frustrated by the constant disruptions, began to abandon the game. This decline in player base basically made it even more challenging for those who remained to find stable and enjoyable matches. Now, Respawn wasn't done yet. Enter Titanfall 2 in 2016, the sequel that promised to address all of the shortcomings of its predecessors, and boy did it deliver. This time, they added a single-player campaign, and it wasn't just any campaign.
Was it clear to you from the start that you wanted to add a campaign to the sequel?
I think once we launched the game, we kind of spent a lot of time, adapting it to, as players kind of embraced it, changing it, adding things to the world, and thinking about what the next game would be. So we spent a good 6 months after the game shipped kind of figuring out, what we wanted to do. And, the cries from the fans were like, we want to know more about this fiction. We put the campaign stuff in multiplayer last time, and it was pretty successful. I mean, it was the number 2 played mode in Titanfall. So people wanted that. They wanted more of that, but they wanted it without the distraction.
Got you.
It was a narrative masterpiece. Seriously, who knew bonding with a giant robot named BT-7274 could tug at our heartstrings? Titanfall 2's campaign was an absolute roller coaster of emotions and explosive action. Players took on the role of Jack Cooper, a rifleman who bonds with a Vanguard-class Titan. The story was emotional, action-packed, and full of memorable moments. The relationship between Jack and BT became the heart of the game, providing a deeply personal touch to the story of an otherwise explosive game. The campaign's level design was a masterclass in variety and creativity. Each new mission introduced different mechanics and challenges for the players to overcome, from time travel puzzles to epic Titan battles. The Effect and Cause mission, which involved switching between 2 different timelines, was particularly praised for the ingenuity it presented. The campaign was a testament to Respawn's ability to craft a compelling single-player experience that stood toe-to-toe with the multiplayer offerings. The lore in Titanfall 2 expanded upon the universe that was established in the first game. Players learned even more about the IMC and the militia, as well as the mysterious alien technology that powered the Fold weapon. The game's story explored themes of loyalty and sacrifice and the bond between man and machine, all set against the backdrop of a sprawling interstellar conflict. The relationship between Jack and BT was central to the campaign's emotional impact. Their interactions were filled with humor, camaraderie, and moments of genuine affection. BT's dry wit and unwavering loyalty endeared him to players, making the stakes of their journey feel deeply personal. The bond between Pilot and Titan was not just a gameplay mechanic, but it was a core element of the story, adding depth and emotional resonance to the experience. Now, speaking of multiplayer, Titanfall 2, just like the single player, expanded on the original's formula. The introduction of new Titans, each with unique abilities and playstyles, added depth to the gameplay. Pilots had more customization options, and the maps were designed with even more verticality and strategic opportunities. The multiplayer was exhilarating, offering a perfect blend of fast-paced infantry combat and strategic Titan warfare. The Titans in Titanfall 2 were more varied and specialized than ever. From the nimble Ronin armed with a sword for close quarters combat to the lumbering Legion equipped with a massive minigun, each Titan brought unique strengths and weaknesses to the battlefield. Players could tailor their loadouts to fit their playstyle, whether they preferred hit-and-run tactics or holding the line with heavy firepower. The multiplayer maps were intricately designed to take full advantage of the game's movement mechanics. Verticality was a key component, with numerous opportunities for wall running, double jumping, and grappling across the environment. This level design encouraged players to think three-dimensionally, using the full range of their mobility to outmaneuver opponents and gain the upper hand in combat. The customization options in Titanfall 2 also allowed players to fine-tune their loadouts and Titans to suit their exact playstyle. From weapons and attachments to Titanfall abilities and kits, the level of customization added depth and replayability to the multiplayer experience. This emphasis on personalization and adaptability influenced subsequent FPS titles. Titanfall 2's multiplayer set a new standard for fluidity and versatility in FPS games. The movement mechanics were smoother, the gunplay was tighter, and the addition of grappling hooks and other new abilities kept the gameplay fresh and dynamic. Other franchises took note. Games like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare began to experiment a bit more boldly with movement mechanics and verticality in their level design. Just like Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2 had its share of issues as well. Re-enter Jeanue, the notorious hacker who terrorized the Titanfall 1 community, and continuing into Titanfall 2. The hacking exploits caused widespread disruption. The small, dedicated player base of Titanfall 2 also experienced matches plagued with DDoS attacks, server crashes, and aimbot users. Respawn always seemed to struggle to address these issues, which really led to a lot of frustration and dwindling player numbers. Jeanue's attacks were particularly damaging because they targeted the game's core infrastructure. DDoS attacks would bring entire servers to their knees, making it impossible for anyone to play the game. It was a nightmare for the community that was already small due to the niche appeal for these games. The hackers' activities were well documented, with players often sharing their experiences and frustrations online. Despite Respawn's effort to sort of combat these attacks, which I don't know how much they ever really did, the small player base definitely felt the impact. But once again, as always, the community seemed to rally. The Titanfall community really is nothing if not resilient. Enter the Northstar client, a custom server mod for Titanfall 2 on PC. Developed by modders and dedicated fans, Northstar allowed players to host their own servers, free from the clutches of hackers. This really breathed new life into the game, giving the community a new way to enjoy Titanfall 2 without constant disruptions. Custom servers, modded content, and new game modes flourished, showcasing the passion and creativity of the Titanfall base. The Northstar client not only provided a solution to the hacking issues, but also opened the door to a wealth of custom content. Players could create and share new maps, new game modes, custom Titans, which further expanded the game's already rich multiplayer experience. This level of community involvement and creativity helped sustain the game's player base and really kept Titanfall's spirit alive. The custom servers allowed for a more controlled and personalized gaming experience as well. Players could set their own rules, host private matches, and experiment with new gameplay mechanics. This freedom sort of offered a sense of ownership and investment in the game, which encouraged players to continue to contribute their own creations and share them with the other community members.
The map may start to change and evolve.
Yeah, Kings Canyon, it's a living, breathing place. It's going to grow.
And are the Titans going to arrive soon?
Now, we actually prototyped Titans for like 9 months during development of Apex. It never could work.
At some point, they got to drop in or something, right?
Maybe we'll see.
In-game event or something, right? I mean, come on. It's like all gang up to take down the Titan or something. All right, well, we'll see.
It's pretty tough, but we'll try.
And now, lastly, a twist that really no one saw coming: Apex Legends. In February of 2019, Respawn dropped this battle royale bombshell out of nowhere. No teasers, no hype, just a surprise launch. It was like waking up on Christmas morning to find that Santa left you a brand new game under the tree. Apex Legends took some of the best elements of Titanfall, the fluid movement, the diverse roster of characters, and the fast-paced gunplay, and then threw them into a battle royale blender. The result? A game that felt both familiar and fresh. Set in the same universe as Titanfall, Apex Legends introduced us to the Outlands, a lawless frontier where legends battled for glory. Each legend had unique abilities, sort of drawing from inspiration of Overwatch, adding a layer of strategy and team dynamics to the chaotic free-for-all. The launch of Apex Legends was an absolute masterclass in marketing, or I guess rather anti-marketing. Respawn and EA both decided to forego the traditional buildup of teasers and trailers. Instead, they silently developed the game, leveraging that element of surprise, and when Apex Legends released, it would take the gaming world by storm. The buzz generated by its unexpected launch led to a viral explosion, with streamers and YouTubers rushing to play and showcase the game. Within a month, Apex Legends had amassed over 50 million players. It was like Respawn had hit the jackpot. Now here's the kicker for the Titanfall fans. Apex Legends started as Titanfall 3. Yes, you heard that right. Initially, Respawn began development on the third installment of Titanfall, but as the Battle Royale genre exploded in popularity with games like PUBG and Fortnite, they pivoted. The core mechanics and movement from Titanfall were really perfect for a Battle Royale game. Thus, Apex Legends was born, taking the best elements of Titanfall and adapting them to a new, wildly popular format. Apex Legends didn't just ride the Battle Royale wave, it absolutely redefined it. The game's ping system revolutionized communication in team-based shooters, allowing players to mark locations, enemies, and items without voice chat. This innovation, not surprisingly, was quickly adopted by other games in the genre. Apex also emphasized character abilities, bringing a hero shooter element to the Battle Royale that sort of set it apart from competitors like PUBG and Fortnite. Each legend in Apex brought unique abilities and personalities to the game, from Wraith's teleportation skills to Pathfinder's grappling hook. The diversity of playstyles and tactics added depth to the gameplay. This focus on individual character abilities inspired other Battle Royale games to incorporate similar elements, blending the lines between traditional shooters and hero-based mechanics. Regular updates, new legends, and evolving maps kept Apex Legends fresh and engaging. It wasn't just a game, it was a live service that was constantly growing and adapting to player feedback. The developers at Respawn always made a concerted effort to listen to the community, sort of implementing changes and additions based on player input. This level of engagement helped maintain a loyal player base and ensured that the game remained relevant in a rapidly changing market. Apex Legends also did a lot to expand upon the lore of the Titanfall universe. We saw characters like Kuban Blisk and Ash make appearances, sort of tying those games together. The Outlands became a rich tapestry of stories and conflicts, with each season adding new layers to the narrative. The game's success proved once again that Respawn could adapt and innovate, creating a game that stood out in a crowded market. But how does Apex Legends really tie into Titanfall? Well, I'm glad you asked. While Apex doesn't feature Titans, it shares the same universe and lore. There are even references in-game Easter eggs for the die-hard Titanfall fans. It's like Respawn basically created a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with more guns and less spandex. The ties between the two games go beyond mere references. The world building in Apex Legends is steeped in Titanfall lore, with locations, factions, and backstories that echo the events of the previous games. Players can see the impact of the IMC and the malicious conflict in the ruined landscapes and derelict facilities scattered throughout the maps. There's also several characters that have videos and lore stories and backgrounds all steeped in Titanfall. Valkyrie and Bangalore are really good examples of this. This interconnected universe creates a sense of continuity and depth that enriches the player experience. The Titanfall community, although small, is incredibly tight-knit. The shared experiences of battling hackers and enjoying custom content has really forged strong bonds among players. Unlike larger gaming communities, the smaller player base allows for those closer relationships and more meaningful interactions. Whether it's organizing tournaments, sharing tips, creating content, or just enjoying a match together, Titanfall players have created a supportive and welcoming environment. Community-driven events and fan-created content have definitely played a significant role in keeping the spirit of Titanfall alive. This sense of camaraderie and passion is a testament to the impact that Respawn's games have had on their players. So, what's the legacy of Titanfall and Apex Legends? Titanfall paved the way for innovative movement mechanics and mech combat, while Titanfall 2 perfected the formula and delivered an unforgettable single-player experience. Apex Legends then took those lessons and created a battle royale that continues to evolve and capture the hearts of players worldwide. Respawn Entertainment has showed us that even in the face of adversity, they can respawn, pun intended once again, and deliver gaming experiences that are both groundbreaking and beloved. Whether you're a diehard Titanfall fan, an Apex Legends champion, or just someone who loves a good underdog story, Respawn Entertainment's journey is a testament to the power of innovation and perseverance. So next time you drop into the Outlands or hop into a Titan, remember, you're part of a legacy that's far from over. Thanks for watching, and may your Titanfall be swift and your Apex victory sweet. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Hey Respawn, if you're listening also, how about a Titanfall 3? Just saying. Titanfall 3, we could definitely use more wall running and mech mayhem in our lives. Thanks, bye.